Hello everyone, I'm Ali Ibrahim Nia, and I'm really happy to be with you again in a new episode of The Pact, the series that discusses international political issues every week. Today we have a respected guest, Miss Princess Vittoria from Italy. She's an Italian writer and journalist, and I would like to welcome her to the program. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, Miss Vittoria. Okay, I have this general and important question, which I'm sure you are an expert of, and I would like to know your idea about the loss of cultural identity in European countries and Western countries in general through globalism. And do you think this process is going to be continued or not?
I come from Sicily, an island in the Mediterranean, the biggest island of the Mediterranean. Yes, Jazira Sakalia in Arabic. And Sicily is one of the proofs of the extraordinary civilization of Persia in Islamic times. The quality of the crafts, of the arts, of the commerce, of the textiles, of the textile industry, of the poetry, of the architecture that was produced in Sicily under Fatimid rulers for 100 years shows how the Mediterranean in those days was an Iranian, under the Iranian influence, and it was what Goethe, the great Jewish scholar from Yemen, said. It was a splendid Mediterranean society, free in the traffics, free in their no passport needed to travel around. We know Ibn Battuta traveled from Morocco to China, practicing his job as a Qadi. So no borders, but respect of each other's multipolar societies. So, to give you an example, we have in Palermo, the capital of Sicily, an extraordinary building within the royal palace. The royal palace, which used to be the palace also of the Fatimid rulers. There is a chapel, a church, the church of the palace, containing the most beautiful object of Islamic art in the world. It is a ceiling, the ceiling in Muqarnas, which contains about 2,500 Persian pictures painted on the ceiling. And the Muqarnas, you know what they are, the structure. The Muqarnas are so complex, so complicated, such an extraordinary structure, mathematical project, that nobody in those days could have done it, if not Persian mathematicians. So why not promote this beautiful, extraordinary product of your art, which shows that Persian artists worked together with Norman builders, with Byzantine mosaic makers in a town which was the capital of the Mediterranean under Fatimid rule. They worked together, they produced a magnificent work of art, which still today is considered one of the most important Islamic work of art in the world. And turn all the aggression, all the fake news that come out, turn them into positive elements. We've had writers and journalists attack Islamic civilization, attack Iran. We shouldn't answer. I think that's a mistake. I think it's a mistake to reply to your opponent with the same systems. It would be like for me answering to the mafia with mafia actions. No, you have to fly higher because you have more important things to prove. You can show what the Islamic civilization is what it has been through the centuries. You can prove it through extraordinary characters. You can tell the story. You can tell stories. People love to hear stories. Let's make the stories function. Take that ceiling. It has 2,500 miniatures with so many stories. My idea was to make it into a hologram, a live hologram, transform it into the stories. There is one beautiful image of Zulkarnain, you know, flying into the sky. You have all these elements that you can, and you tell the stories, and people understand them. They will relate to them. You don't need to destroy the others. You could just build on your own extraordinary civilization. You have artists, you have craftsmen, you have calligraphers, you have movie directors, you have an extraordinary institute in Tehran on animation films. I think I actually at more than one festival have seen some of these beautiful short movies, animated short movies, and they are works of art. We've given them prizes. So artists, painters, all this is something which has existed in Iran, in the Middle East, for thousands of years. It's not only the strength of this part of the world, it's also the power to build the future. Because you see, art and culture in the West has collapsed. The artists only think of their own interests. The artists are only thinking of making money. They're empty. They just create provocations. Pornographic art or whatever, things like this. So they have nothing to say. If you come up, if you encourage your artists to tell your story, you will see what comes out. If you encourage your writers, your poets, your musicians to create works of art based on your civilization, communicating the message of these fantastic poets that you've had through the generation, the intellectuals, the religious leaders of the past. You have this incredible reservoir where you can find women poets. You know how many you've had, women calligraphers, all these the crafts, the textile, all this can prove what this civilization is. What is the Middle East? This was one of the reasons why Mustafa Akkad was killed, because I don't know if you've seen his films, Risala and exactly, and the film on Muhtar, because of course the quality, promoting with Western quality, Western technology to a Western public, an image, a brand, which is not attacking anybody, but on the contrary, it's just promoting your own brand. Just imagine you're a fashion designer, and you're the fashion designer, make Iran fashionable. That's what you have to do. And that's where so many people will help, because culture is something that talks to the people's hearts. Because if you start working, let's say, with some pottery maker from Sicily, who has inherited up to now the same crafts, the same pottery systems that from the Fatimids, and he still now practices it in Sicily, he will understand you. It's the same language. You share a language, and this language of art is the only language to fight conflicts. It's the only way to solve conflicts, because it's the language of beauty. Allahu Jameel, and you have Jamal. So God is beautiful. He loves beauty. Let's promote this beauty, which is everywhere in the world. And nobody like the Persians have a language, have had the interpretation. Think of the interpretations of the Quranic verses through, the great Persian writers and the great Persian Arifin. So take these interpretations, promote them, publish them. Think of the success of Rumi. Bring this all out. Show the world what you are. You're not a small restricted nation with 20 years of history, or a desert tribe grown on oil. Why should a desert tribe developed on oil in the last 50 years have any kind of publicity or good press? And not you. I mean, it's not explicable. So the solution is there. You have the means, you have the technology, you have people like another Taleb Zahir, who are great film directors, you have a lot of artists, you have people with great artistic capacities. Make your fashion, make your furniture, become a brand, please. Yeah. This is what it was in the past for centuries and centuries. This was Iran. Think of the Seljuk pottery. Think of the fantastic carpets. Think of the carpet. Just the carpets in itself are a promotion of this country. Tell them who the people are who make these carpets. The Bazari world of carpet creators, carpet sellers, on the Silk Road, the role of Persia on the Silk Road, the role of Persia in Eurasia. All of this, these are stories to tell the world. And don't restrict yourself to the present. Don't let them lead you into a dark, a dark vision of a restricted and conflictual position. That's not your role. It's completely different. You should forget about it. Just forget about it. Don't think of what the enemies say about you. Don't think about it. I know that you're under embargo. It's been heroic to resist for 40 years this situation, and it's certainly strengthened the unity of the country. It's certainly given you the capacity to react in difficult conditions. But now, what you need is to create this image. Really, please do it. We will help you in the West to promote it. We are there. There are big exhibitions. There is the Biennale in Venice. There are so many things, the film festivals. Why don't you are going to inspire with your tradition, your stories? You're going to inspire the West, which is so lacking from any sort of dream, lacking the traditional values. People are committing suicide because they have no hope. People think the world is finished because they are not making money. So come with your beautiful story. Reinvent Shahrazad. This is the world you can promote. And this is the world which will help the West rediscover their own past, rediscover their traditions, what has always united us. We've been united for centuries. Think of Goethe, Esther Liban, think of Montesquieu, think of all the Western writers who have been inspired by your world, your civilization. So let's go back to that. Give the world an inspiration. Show them what you are. This is what we need. Please.
Okay, thank you so very much, Ms. Vittoria, for your fruitful explanation and discussion. I really hope to have you again on this episode on next programs. Thank you so very much and goodbye.